Alexander Hamilton,
Oh, yeah.
Ben Franklin, George Washington.
Yeah. That's true. All those are
I forgot the other guy.
Samuel Adams.
There's 7 of them, I'm pretty sure.
No, there's not. There's like 39 technically.
I thought there was 7.
Well, there's the well-known ones, but there was 39 delegates in the Constitutional Convention.
All right.
All right, so let me just start by saying the signing of the United States Constitution.
The only one that matters is the one that's on the $100 bill.
Who's that?
Ben Franklin. Right? Yes. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Benjamin's. Yeah.
Come on, how long have we been living in this country for?
The United States Constitution occurred on September 17th, 1787, at Independence Hall in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
I've been there before, actually.
Really?
Yeah, you could just go there. It's pretty cool.
I went to a lot of different places where the Patriots would gather in Boston. Yeah, I went on that too. It's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. It's amazing that you could just go to these things. It's because America's a young country, though. Relatively speaking. If you tried doing that in China, you'd have to or some other older country, you'd have a harder time.
Hold on, I'm about to completely ruin the experience for our Chinese viewers. Tiananmen Square. Goodbye. All right. So when 39 delegates to the Constitutional Convention representing 12 states, the original states in the Union, endorsed
13 states.
Oh, so what happened to the 13?
There's 13 original colonies. What are you saying there's 12 for?
I don't know. They're representing 12 states. What happened to the 13 ones?
Oh, no, one of them didn't get, I remember, one of them did not get a delegate. I don't remember why, but one of them actually didn't get one.
Oh, too
I
bad.
think it was Rhode Island, and I think it was because it was too small, but I'm not sure on that.
Maybe because the leader. I think maybe because the leader died or something like that.
I don't remember. Maybe his horse died that day. He couldn't get to work.
I'm in mourning. He put in his 2 weeks. Endorsed the 12 states endorsed the Constitution created during the 4-month-long convention. It ensconced the values and ideas by which our nation holds dear into written form. So the founding fathers had a vision as to how our nation should be organized, how we should govern one another, why.
And now, in today's day, we're throwing that whole thing away.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's debatable.
No, it's a product of its time. It's got to evolve and adapt and overcome.
Yeah, exactly. Isn't it interesting, though, Mike, how...
I mean, we've added amendments.
Yeah, we have. Like freeing people from slavery and women's suffrage and stuff like that.
Yeah, we had to make edits. We had to edit freedom of speech because people would scream bomb in an airport, and then they'd be like, "Oh, it's freedom of speech, so you can't really be in trouble." It's like, all right, you can't do that though.
Yeah. So, Mike, what do you think are some of the things that the founders believed in?
Not being oppressed by the British.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big one.
How about I just tell you some that I have here?
All right, why don't you go ahead and
These are some actual, some of these are actual quotes from what they would discuss, all right? So the purpose of government was to protect life, liberty and property. Hold on, property from what they call the depravity of human nature. So Mike, what do you think the depravity of human nature is besides this kind of stuff that you do in the morning?
Well, wasn't a lot of that. Was the three? What is it called? The quartering tax or the quartering act? When was that?
Oh, well, that was when the British would. No, I think it was like a tax they would put on people to house British soldiers or something like that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's got a lot to do with the property part of it.
Like you can't encroach on my property.
People were angry about that one.
Yeah, because they would just seize and search you and station
I got
troops.
to live here now.
Yeah, wherever they wanted.
Yeah, it's pretty. That's not fair. Imagine I just walked into your house like, all right, I'm about to live here.
Yeah. If you were like a delegate of the crown, I couldn't do anything at the time.
Nope.
So why would they associate? Because I mean, obviously, this is in response to the British's the treatment that the crown had on its colonies. So why do you think they would consider the tyranny of the crown to be an aspect of the depravity of human nature? Like, what do you think about that, Mike?
Well, they just weren't allowed to govern themselves, which
is man capable of governing itself?
Yeah.
You think so?
It's called discipline. Yes. The only difference is if
Gather your words.
If the discipline's fair, and you can't really. First of all, I'm pretty sure the British were just taxing us left and right, and that's what we're getting mad about because we're just getting our money taken away.
It was to pay for most of its expensive wars against like France and stuff like that, I believe.
Yeah, so we got fed up with it. And why wouldn't we?
Yeah.
We're not like the thing is, like, they let the colony be too big. I feel like if the colony was much smaller and isolated, it wouldn't have been such a kerfuffle.
I mean, we would have lost anyway if it wasn't for the British and
Like the British had
No, I'm sorry.
Like the British had Hong Kong and under their regime until like 1997.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we broke out of it like 250 years prior.
We had the help of the French and a Prussian military officer. Like it was a Prussian hussar.
Like I don't know why they thought like you could colonize something that big. Like they started off way too strong. It's as if I'm like,
Well, I mean, this not only that, dude. We literally purchased like an entire massive swath of land just like that. The Louisiana Purchase. Like I don't know. Like, it's pretty crazy how we just gobbled up the land that was the Americans.
well, didn't we do the Louisiana Purchase after the war?
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying, like we were so capable of just taking that.
Not only
frontier
that, but
land.
isn't the 13 colonies in and of themselves bigger than Britain itself?
Yeah, I guess if you're talking about land
think-
size, yeah.
So I don't know what they expected.
Listen, the sun never set on the British Empire
Well,
at the time.
it did.
Yeah. But, okay, so here's another one, Mike. All right. Liberty was not guaranteed even if you elect representatives.
That's what they thought.
Yeah. They concluded that liberty, even in a democratic process, wasn't guaranteed because a lot of the founding fathers were, like, pretty staunch realists when it came to human nature. Like, remember, even, we're going to actually talk about him, but, the Prince by Machiavelli?
Yeah.
Where the whole term Machiavellian comes from. I mean, the Machiavelli had pretty staunch arguments in favor of the realistic nature of humanity and how they were just prone to tyranny and groupthink and exclusion of peoples.
Yeah. No, it's making me think.
About what?
I laugh when I think. Don't worry about it.
Okay, fair enough. So, I mean, that's why I asked. Like, is mankind really capable of governing itself fairly? I mean, take Lord of the Fries.
Lord of the Fly. Yeah, but the thing is, those are children.
Well, no, hold on. They were children, but it was commentary on like.
I know.
It was commentary.
It was commentary on how like
Human nature can be. It was also a commentary, especially on like British boarding schools and how really awful they can be.
I think it was also like about intelligence versus strength because like, the smart kid died.
Oh yeah.
That's why on some of the covers, I think on some of the covers it depicts his glasses being shattered.
Yeah.
Because that's like the real turning point. Like, all right, we just killed the smartest kid. We're screwed.
Oh, that's interesting because like I don't know if any of you play Overwatch, any of our viewers or anybody here in this room, but
Nope.
like to
What's an Overwatch?
there's a character called Winston who's a giant gorilla, intelligent gorilla. Shut up. He's an intelligent gorilla, and his super ability where he goes full on ape and like just murders everything around him, becomes unstoppable. It shows his glasses being shattered.
I hope Timmy's watching this right now because I got a story about Timmy in Overwatch.
But the unleashing of the most base aspects of the human psyche
Yeah.
for destruction and ownership and just claiming everything that it sees.
He was also what was his name again? That damn kid with the glasses.
Winston?
No, the kid with the glasses
Piggy,
from Lord of the
Piggy,
Rings.
Piggy.
Piggy, yeah.
Lord of the Rings.
Sorry.
Sam?
Piggy Baggins, whatever the hell. Anyway, when Piggy, it wasn't just the fact that he was the smartest kid. He was also the only one who gave a damn about order and rules. And the minute he died is basically when the rules and the order are gone.
Yeah.
Even though, like, I'm pretty sure, didn't that other kid die first? Like, that really soft-spoken kid. I think he was the first death.
Yeah, he died first, yeah.
Yeah, they mauled him. I'm pretty sure they, like, hit Piggy with a giant rock.
Yeah.
Like an Indiana Jones-style rock.
No, they cracked the skull open, yeah.
That's terrible. And then the minute the adults came, they were like crying. It's like, we killed a few kids. What's that supposed to represent once the adults get back?
What do you think that's... I mean, it's supposed to sort of represent the sort of snap back to reality.
Yeah. It's like, oh yeah, it's like all
Yeah.
these, like politics, like they hardly matter when it comes to like the bigger picture.
Yeah. Or rather, you can be awakened to your worst. Like basically the things that you don't confront about yourself will wake you up at the very worst moments.
Wait, who was the kid who met the devil in Lord of the Rings? Oh my God! Stop with the Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Flies.
I don't remember.
They met Beelzebub. I forgot which kid it was.
It was a while ago. I forget what he told them too. Like, it sucks, but
He said, "I'm the Lord of the Flies," and that's all I remember. Really.
so this is interesting, Mike.
Piggy?
What?
Was it Piggy?
Yeah. Well, no.
It might have
it's-
been Piggy.
I don't think it was Piggy, but it's interesting that you're bringing this up, Mike. Well, I guess I helped, but basically, it tells us a lot about what the devil is supposed to represent relative to civilization. Like, I mean, what is the devil besides like the being that's at the very lowest point from God, basically? Like, you remember?
Basically, like temptation.
Well, hold on. Let me bring this up. Like, in Dante's Inferno, it shows the devil being encased in ice. But the
Yeah.
thing is, right, is that basically he beats his wings to show that he's defiant towards God. That, hey, I'm not actually trapped here. I can still do this. But the beating of his wings traps him even further because it's blowing, it's making cool air which freezes the ice even further.
That doesn't sound like that makes any sense.
No. It's basically saying how your
I get the metaphor, but I don't think beating wings would make cold air.
Oh, well, Mike, I don't know. It's in hell. What? I don't know. It's Dante's Inferno. Talk to Dante Alighieri
All right.
next time you meet him. But but like, what does that have to? What does that say about how bad and how far things can spiral out of control when it comes to like the way we form groups and societies? You know, like, I mean.
I was using my coworker was telling me how he's been to what's the word, raves. He's been to raves, and like a lot of them are devil worshippers, and like he was going on like this spiel about how he's encountered so many like crazy devil worshippers. And I made the point to say like they're not crazy. They're not crazy because they like support the devil. I said it was because like things like that, like devil worship, is an excuse to be crazy and be okay with it.
Oh, it's not like actual genuine. It's not genuine. Here's what you're saying.
Yeah, like they kind of worship it as like a reason to be like that.
They're not actually. They probably don't have it deep down inside.
It's something that it's kind of like a scapegoat, not
Oh.
to be a pun, because goats and hell.
Yeah.
It's like a scapegoat to like point to their craziness, sort of. It's like, oh, I'm not crazy for worshiping Satan. I'm crazy because I can worship Satan, basically.
Oh yeah, no, I know what you mean. Like the whole idea. Like, the only reason why people are even doing it, in my opinion, is just because like there exists organized religion in.
Yeah,
Christianity.
it's basically they made up a god, and they didn't make up a god, but they just picked like a god to worship and base certain things around it, like any other religion. It's just like the
It's a meme.
it's a little
It's a sort of ironic sort of.
And
meme.
like I know like the church of like the actual Satanism's kind of different than this being like a straight devil worshiper, because like there are like legitimate like kind of beneficial things that they believe, but like as opposed to like straight devil worship just for doing it because like do you want to be like a psycho?
Yeah.
Like there is a stark difference. But what I was basically saying was that like people who do like that kind of thing do it because they basically can. Like,
like-
it's a way to point out. It is a way to point out their craziness in a way that like is tangible.
So it's basically them expressing themselves in a way that is extremely destructive. But
Yeah.
in a way that feels good.
Yeah, basically.
I mean, what does that say about like how? Like I said, what does that say about how badly things can spiral out of control? I mean,
When you start literally worshiping your own, you start worship like you become aware of being evil.
Yeah,
and you just don't
you
care.
worship a monument of your sins, basically.
Which I don't know if there's anyone. I don't know if there's anyone in history who like gladly said they were evil and did something because they were evil. I don't think anyone.
No, yeah, the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's ever just done something evil for the sake of being evil.
Yeah.
Like, well, how do you consciously choose to do that?
Oh, like,
Unless if like there's something you believe is right.
yeah. It's interesting, and it's interesting that I said a monument of your sins because going back to Lord of the Flies, remember how?
Lord of the Fries.
Yeah, going back to Lord of the Fries.
Doing a good job of that tonight.
Lord of the Fries of the Rings. Basically, remember the scene by which the devil was talking to whoever it was, right?
Yeah.
They actually like impaled the pig's head on a stake.
It might have been Simon who did that,
I have no idea.
but they
But-
did.
Yeah, but anyway, let's go back to the. Actually, no, I want to answer this one question because that came into my head. Like, I mean, I feel as if what that says about like how badly things can degrade into tyranny is that tyranny always seems to be what's the word? Self-serving to the tyrant, you know?
Yeah.
And in the devil's case in Dante's Inferno, it's a tyranny of his own mind. He's digging himself deeper into the hole of his own imprisonment by expressing his arrogance.
And it's kind of like with the king in like real life. Like,
Yeah, with despotic rulers.
who was the king at the time of?
King Edward or King Philip? I can't remember.
It was King Philip, I think. But yeah.
Hey, Jamie, you look that up?
See, look-
No. Who was the ruling king during the Revolutionary War?
we should really know this. Like how?
No. I mean, we're talking about the founding fathers. Who cares about them?
King George III.
Yeah, King George. That's who it was. King George III. Yeah, but like he's kind of like that in that sense.
I guess so. Yeah. Because I mean,
If there's any non-American viewer, we had to kind of drill to the point. It's kind of pathetic we didn't know that offhand because we learned about American history for like 13 years straight.
And British side for about 2 months.
Yeah, whatever. All right, so here's another one, Mike. With founders believe power corrupted very easily, and so it would need to be divided amongst many electable and impeachable leaders who would rightly represent the common person.
That's basically they did that.
No taxation without representation.
Yeah, but they basically said that because like we could end up like the king if we didn't have it that way.
Yeah.
Like it's a bad idea to let one person have the say. Although didn't Parliament and not habeas corpus, the Magna Carta come out by then?
Well,
In Britain?
Yeah, it did. But the thing is that the Magna Carta actually isn't a constitution. The Magna Carta is very old, and I think it was very specific to the
Church.
No, it was very specific to the situation that they had at the time.
Yeah. You better look it up.
No, I'm getting a phone call. Sorry,
Oh.
but it's very specific to the situation that they had at the time. It basically set the groundwork for things like I believe like the exchequer and the parliamentary system that they have in Britain. So it wasn't like a constitution that really grounded in people's rights as citizens. I don't think it just basically curbed the power of absolute monarchs. Which is, I mean,
wouldn't that be a patriarch? No, never mind. Matriarch. I'm thinking matriarch. Sorry.
which
No, yeah,
is
monarchs.
still kind of weird because like they still had a king, and I guess it doesn't matter when you're ruling over your colonies, but whatever.
Yeah.
All right, so a democratic republic requires a special kind of culture, one that nurtures self-reliance and love of liberty. This is a very powerful idea, Mike, because it harkens back to that episode when we talked about Franklin Roosevelt. No, Teddy Roosevelt. I'm sorry.
Teddy Roosevelt.
Yeah, because didn't he argue a lot that you had to be extremely self-reliant and a moral person, like a virtuous person?
Yeah. You had to be like a strong. You just had to be a strong person, strong moral character, strong like literal strength, all that kind of stuff.
What do you think about I guess this generation of peoples? Do you think we have self-reliance, a strong moral character?
No.
Why?
Generally speaking, well, honestly, you can't trust the media to really show you that because they often show like the worst of the worst. People are generally better than there's a lot of people who are generally better, and there's a lot more of those types of people than you would think.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people who really are like good, outstanding people.
I think that most of them just kind of want to be left alone, though.
Yeah, because now it's like you don't get it. It doesn't matter. Like, how do you say this without putting their genuineness? What I'm trying to say is like you don't really get rewarded for being nice.
Yeah.
Like so.
Oh yeah, I get what you mean.
And also, a lot of people will take advantage of you being nice. So people don't show their true nature like that anymore.
Yeah.
If they ever did in the first place.
Well, how about I'll talk to you about an interesting perspective that I had introduced to me about this idea of lack of ownership. Because, I mean, what we, I guess, in America associate with self-reliance is owning kind of things, you know?
Yeah.
Like, the biggest icon of the independent person was the car. Especially during, like, the 60s and 50s. Like, it was, if you owned a car and you can move, then you were just the cock of the walk.
That really is, to this day, kind of true, though. I felt a lot more free by learning to drive than not being able to.
Listen, if people, like, I think that was, like, a really big staple point between, or rather, it was a really big difference between, like, Soviet-era citizens, and especially during, like, you know, the Soviet blocs, and American citizens. Like, I think that the ownership of cars was like not stressed as much as it is. I can't exactly remember what they were discussing it, but basically like we were so ensconced in the idea of freedom, and it was just expressed so well by our ability to just move around and set up almost anywhere in the country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're more mobile. Like, that's the thing. Like, that's. And it's kind of funny if you think about it, how weird things have gone throughout history. Because we started out as nomads. We started settling down, and now that we've settled down, we want to go back to moving around the whole time.
That's interesting, yeah. Interesting idea. But speaking on self-reliance, there's this culture of individuals, like especially in California, who what they do is that they basically just live in very small communal areas, and everything that they have on them is just whatever they can carry on their backs.
Are you talking about that place where there's also no laws?
No. Like, this is it's basically an installation where you can live in, like, a rinky-dink sort of pod. Kind of like those Japanese sort of living pods. And it's literally just that. Like, that's all you have.
I know tiny homes are becoming popular, too.
Yeah, and someone was saying how, like, hey, let's look at this stupid idiot. Like, you know, they were saying how, like, basically, like, this is going to be, imagine this being you. You have no skills. You don't own anything. You don't own any land. Which, I mean, it's not, I don't think it's particularly fair, especially to say that to this generation. But, you have no skills. Like, what's going to happen when everything, you know, it hits the fan, like everything goes under, then you can't really do anything.
That
like,
reminds me of
like you don't own anything.
That reminds me. Have you ever watched that show Dirty Jobs or not Dirty Jobs? No, yeah, Dirty Jobs. I think it is. The host whose name escapes me. He said
Micro.
The name, yeah, he's. I'm pretty sure he's a baby boomer technically, but he kind of blames like baby boomers themselves for our and millennials like. Not like look like people like we raised a generation where nobody knows how to actually work, and he thinks that's like a big problem.
Well, I mean, it's pretty interesting that you say that, because there was an article, I forget which outlet, basically was making the argument that millennials aren't growing up. And
I'd agree to an extent.
Yeah, because like there's so much that we don't have to rely on.
But not only that, but
yeah.
the media that we consume is so much more addictive, and we get it so much easier than anyone ever before.
Yeah.
Like, imagine if you were living in like the 70s and you were able to access like a Grateful Dead album wwhenever you wanted or something.
Yeah.
I think Grateful Dead was the 70s.
Like, we're relying on systems and organizations that are so much more powerful and
like,
so much more.
The thing is, like, to get pleasure, you don't need to work for pleasure anymore. You could get it very easily. And it's kind of like a lot of millennials and Generation Z, a lot of them are hedonistic, you know? Because, like, how could you not be? It's so easy to be.
Well, Gen Z is actually, especially, like, the really...
Well, Gen Z isn't fair to say, because Gen Z is starting to, like, Generation Z is, like, one of the most conservative, like,
Hold on.
business making.
Hold on, I don't actually know if, like, I read a lot of stuff that didn't really particularly confirm that. So I know what you're talking about, that sort of statistic, but like,
well, it's not that relevant. It's just kind of a stereotype that conservatives are more like leaning towards blue collar work.
Yeah.
But it's not really that. A lot of Generation Z looks to like entrepreneurship more so than getting a job, because we're aware of how screwed our education system is with university. So a lot of like the person doing this show right now over there,
Hi, how are you?
like he and other people know that like it's kind of a trap and they didn't fall for it.
Yeah.
Willingly.
There's this. Okay, so. Not to bring up anyone particularly controversial, there's this person on the internet called Soph, like short for Sophia, and I've been watching.
Wouldn't it be Soph?
So I guess Sophia or Soph, whatever. So it's spelled either way. They're like 14 years old, and you can pretty much immediately tell that their IQ is like very. I don't know what I'm saying there. It's a she. Her IQ is pretty high. And she's pretty controversial because some of her stuff is kind of right on the right spectrum, even though her parents like she had confirmed that their parents were pretty left wing.
Okay.
Like, basically, her main point of contention is that she wants to bring light to the extremely messed up nature of school systems and value systems that we have, like the sort of paradoxical nature of them. And basically, I think she's basically essentially saying that culture of self-reliance and loving of freedom is dying because we're shoving our children into these indoctrination camps.
Yeah, like
And they're just becoming so much more reliant on the state for basically everything.
yeah, and like in America,
Which is an argument that you can make.
you can't even go to school and kind of feel 100% safe after like all these ever since like Columbine. It's hard to feel safe in school.
Well, and not even just that. I mean, because for one thing, let's make it very clear that a lot of, let me just say that a school shooting is counted if a gun goes off on a school. So like there was,
That's true, but
Yeah.
you can see that like
but another
that
thing,
shouldn't be happening in the first place.
Well, I know what you're saying, but like it's gonna. That's the thing. It's just gonna happen. But not to argue anything about that. My point is that, or at least the point that she was making is that that if you want to understand why that's happening so much, look at how messed up this education system is, where we're basically like creating these children that are brainless, basically
NPCs.
yeah, I
No,
guess
but
so.
for real though, like
Like they don't have any skills, they don't have any life skills.
they don't have any skills. They don't teach them any skills, and they instill like at least for me, they said you had to go to college or that's the end of
Yeah.
you.
And so like she was basically saying that like what's going to happen when this person realizes that it's all going to come crashing down, like what happens when it all comes crashing down on them and they realize how screwed they've been, how screwed over they've been. Like what are they going to do? Especially the guys are going to go freaking
The thing about it is like
get their father's gun and just
it's even harder to say though
Lash out.
because this system does work for a lot of people just as much as it screws people over. So it's pretty difficult to even pin the blame all on it. But what you were saying about how you specified like males were doing like shootings and things.
that's 'cause they are.
A lot of them are, but some of them have been females recently. Or
Like two.
Or there's been some transgender ones.
Why one?
Yeah, but still, like it's happening to. It's not becoming just like a singular
Well,
American.
I know what you're saying.
It's not becoming a male problem anymore, and it's not even becoming an American problem anymore because now it's happening elsewhere. But my point was saying that like you specified it was male. A lot of people say that's because like being a man's coming under scrutiny because a man can't really work the way he could years ago.
I guess so. Yeah, you can.
Like that's why Teddy Roosevelt said like if you work like an office job, please do something like strenuous on your off time.
Well, yeah,
Because like it's getting harder and harder
Well,
to actually be that way.
the thing is, like,
and it's kind of just nature for like a male to want to work like that.
we're gonna talk a lot about this when we talk about the men and women in society.
Yeah, should
But
probably save it for that.
yeah, but one thing I will say is that apparently, this is something I heard, that men are more willing to work physically for higher money than they are for more money than they are to work non-physically for more money.
I'd agree.
Yeah.
If you gave me a job for like if you gave me like a job like $100,000, do like this physical labor, like as opposed to because the time will go by faster, and you're working with your hands, you're getting stronger. The time will go by faster. If I'm sitting here clicking here for like 10 hours out of the day, I'm gonna be bored.
Yeah. Like, but and what I guess the arguments that what they're saying silently here is that, and in relation to how our society's going right now, is that culture, that feeling of self-ownership, that feeling of self-reliance, and being a sort of kingdom in one's own head, or for not necessarily in your head, but in your own body, like the sort of oneness of the self, the individual, it's going away in favor of extremely. Some would say maybe even radical, but this sort of collectivist sort of ideals.
I think it's mostly the internet's fault, to be honest with you.
Internet, social media, I think that's what it is.
Because like it's not even just like social media, it's also because like with the internet a lot of jobs are like a little irrelevant. Like the quest for knowledge is at a standstill because you can just look whatever
Oh
you
no,
want
yeah.
up.
Andrew Yang is making it very clear that we're on the verge of an apocalypse when it comes to like jobs, because when AI really starts pumping out.
Like what are all these people gonna do?
Well, and he was explaining how what they're going to do is that what they've been doing is they've been going home, drinking themselves either to death or just committing, mass murders or something. It's awful. It's pretty awful.
Yang Gang 2020.
I was gonna say that. Let's get this bag. Vote for who you feel is right. But anyway,
Life is like a sandwich. No matter how you flip it, the bread comes first.
stop saying that.
It's so true. It's a sad fact of life. No matter, unless you live in a monastery, money's going to be the
Yeah, I
first
wanna
thing of
live
your
in a
problems.
monastery.
An open bagel.
What?
It was like an open-faced bagel.
It's still bread. Unless you-
Flip it.
Who cares? Anyway,
That's just the butter on the money.
Doesn't make sense, but anyway. Okay, so here's another one. If citizens start to take liberty for granted, this is basically in response to the other one. If their culture, molded by journalists, writers, preachers, and teachers, starts to hold other values in higher esteem, then the spirit that gives life to the Constitution will flicker out.
And who constantly pushes their agenda on people? Teachers and journalists.
And preachers.
And, well, there's not so many preachers anymore in the
Well,
first
hold on,
place.
hold on. What else is really... Like, because you don't have to necessarily be an
The thing
organized
is,
religion.
it's like
to be
they
a
literally
preacher.
predicted how America was going to go.
They, in a lot of ways, they kind of did. Kind of somberly, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's just... I want to think about the good things about America, and there are good things about it, but there are some.
No, listen. Make no mistake. The idea of America is good.
Yeah.
The idea of basically like something that's ancient and precious, but insanely strong, enduring forever, essentially, and guarding your rights granted to you by God. Because, I mean, whether or not you believe in God, you have to kind of accept the fact that it's kind of important that we hold something above us to be the sole, not proprietor, the sole grantor of sort of inalienable rights that we have. Because, I mean, let's say there was no sort of God and we all saw each other as sort of equal in a way. I mean, this is kind of a bad argument, and I'll admit, but like, I feel as if what that would mean is that there would be very little justification for me just not taking what you have. You know what I mean? Because there's nothing watching me, quote unquote. Nowadays, with the
There
thing
is
that
something watching you
well, yeah,
nowadays.
nowadays the thing that is watching you is your own ideology and like how you can act in your own sort
Or
of
the literal
ideas.
cameras all over the place.
Yeah, and
There's one now.
ah, jeez. Facial recognition.
Oh, that's... Yeah, people don't like that. San Francisco already banned it.
Yep, good.
Don't blame them. Like, come
Good.
on. Like,
Yeah.
we are literally stepping into, like, some Skynet stuff. Like, it's amazing how much you realize, like, we're in the future. Like, this is arguably the beginning of the future that people made fiction out of.
Seriously.
Like, we have touchscreen tab computers in our pockets.
In RoboCop, you know the little officers, like those computers on their wrists. They were literally just calculators.
Yeah, they were. Like, remember when I don't know if a teacher ever told you this, but, like, teachers told me, like, you want to have a calculator everywhere you go. And then they, like, look at today.
Yeah. Calculate everywhere you go.
It's funny. It's funny stuff, I'm telling you. How wrong everyone was. Like, the guy who said the internet would just be a fad. How wrong.
Or how wrong that other guy was when he said... Basically, the people who didn't know that the internet was even going to come around basically said that people were just going to starve at some point. Like, the whole world would just starve.
Why?
Y2K, do you mean?
No, not that, but it's like... Basically, like, there was a group of people who didn't really foresee the advent of the internet and what it meant for global commerce, so they kind of just thought that...
The guy who said it
the
was just a
worst coming.
fad, he's like the wrongest person in the history of Earth.
Imagine being so wrong. But anyway, I think Mark was telling us a story about a guy who made a gamble, like on some railroad or something like that.
Yeah, the railroad company was being bought by the government, or the government was selling it. One of those.
Yeah.
And this
that guy was right.
That guy friggin' sold
Made a killing.
Sold all of his assets, basically. Put
Made
out a
$18
bunch of
million.
loans.
Yeah,
made $32 million, something like that.
Oh, excuse me.
But still, yeah,
Anyway,
he was correct.
So here's some questions, Mike.
Yeah, give me
Based
some
on that,
questions.
Based on those.
Give me questions while I think of a Mike's mysteries.
Oh my God, he has one job, folks.
Yeah.
Every time he goes home, he just does something else.
Plays a Minecraft.
Leave.
And then he does something else for like the next 7 days until we get to now. Then he goes in my car and he's just like, oh God, what's Mike's mysteries gonna be?
I didn't even do that this time. This time it was right here in this seat.
Completely forgot that we even had to do it every week. All right. So the ancestors of the founding fathers
Tell
consisted
you what, this matcha green tea is kicking my ass.
they consisted mostly of people who fled from a religious persecution, like the Quakers and Pilgrims and blah.
Yeah.
This flight and desire for self-autonomy shaped their intense love of freedom and their belief in God-given rights.
Oh, yeah?
Is it man's natural wish to be free?
Yes, it is.
Really? Okay, so would you prefer anarchy or totalitarianism if you had the choice?
Well,
Because I'll tell you, most people actually pick totalitarianism.
Well, yeah, because anarchy, like the worst people will be able to do the worst things.
A lot of people say that that idea has been given to us by the bourgeoisie to make it so I guess the idea of communism and anarchy seem unattractive.
But it is true. They would do whatever they wanted.
I mean, you could do whatever you wanted. Most anarchists believe that there should be democratically involved communes to determine what groups of people should.
Anarchists?
Yeah, like this is some
I
of the
could
things
get
that
behind
anarchists
that.
believe. Yeah.
Yeah, if at least somebody is keeping track.
Well, the thing is that there's no one monolithic person, though. Even though, like, I guess not to go on a tangent about criticizing anarchy, but the thing is that, like, what's going to happen, as it often happens, is that the thing that's just going to make it fall apart is just one person's going to be like, okay, damn the consequences, I want it all. And then all they need to do is just win over a bunch of people to vote for him. Like that's why I guess Socrates didn't really like democracy, because it can turn into totalitarianism by someone just being, like, particularly charismatic. And you listen, we wouldn't believe how charismatic psychopaths actually really are.
They are. Like, a lot of serial killers are charismatic.
Yeah, they have extremely high IQs, but just have no regrets. Like, you'd have to put an active curb on human capability to become extremely intelligent in order to sustain it, in my opinion.
I just don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. Maybe somebody has a really good answer to that.
I think most things on Earth would rather be free, though. Like, if you chain up a tiger, it's going to want to be back home.
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
I don't know.
But I mean, like, we were just talking about it, for today. The people who live in the pods, I mean,
you mean pods like the moving pods, or like
no, like the little. Basically, it's just. It's basically this big. It's a bed and maybe a TV in a pod, and that's it.
They don't live in it. It's like a hotel.
But some people like literally just use it for their home though. They go to work and then they just have all their clothes in their bag, and then they live in that way. And some people do it in like these little kind of hostels or whatever. I don't know what they're called, but the point is that
type of colony.
kind of. The point is that, like, the argument that guy I was watching was making is that, like, you don't own anything. Like, you're not self-reliant. Like, what happens when that sort of community of pods just goes out of business or closes? What are you gonna do? Like, you have no real assets on you. You have nothing to fall back on, I guess. I mean, it's an interesting way of living. Just with careful. Just
I've heard of this hot mics.
with having nothing. But I mean, are you really capable of just sustaining yourself? Because all it sounds like is that you'll just be for the rest of your life reliant on whatever there is to provide for you.
Dude, this green tea. Oof. I don't know why it's making me so hyper. It feels like I'm about to die. Imagine dying on the air. That's crazy.
Imagine the smell.
Knock on wood.
Jesus Christ. Anyway, but are you actually okay?
No, I'm like all jittery.
So you just drank some green tea? Are you sure that's the tea was what was making it green?
It was green tea, matcha, and
crack cocaine.
CBD oil. I guess the C in CBD stands for crack instead of cannabis.
Jeez, Mike is having a conniption on air, folks. I'm sorry.
Oh boy, anyone got some water bottles? Any water bottles? Anybody?
Do you want a cup of water?
Yeah, I'll take a cuppa.
Anyway, while he gets your cuppa, what do you think about man's like people usually wanting to live under totalitarian circumstances?
Well, I guess they're afraid of what anarchy could actually do to them. So if
Because are they afraid of like personal?
put it this way,
responsibility?
like what I say with the tiger being behind bars at a zoo wanting to be free. Imagine if that tiger was born there, wouldn't really know what being free is. So maybe like the zoo is all it ever. It's like Madagascar. The zoo is all they ever knew.
Yeah.
And then they wanted to go back to the zoo. That's actually a big philosophical thing right there. They wanted so desperately to be free, and the minute they were free, they wanted to go back into confinement.
And then the next couple of movies they got integrated.
They got screwed though because they ended up in They ended up in Africa.
Yeah.
And like that's perfectly fine for Gloria and the giraffe. What's a giraffe? Actually, no, it's good for all of them. They're all African animals,
I mean, yeah.
except for the lemurs and the penguins.
Yeah. What was funny?
No, that's
about
not
the
true. There
penguin-
are penguins in South Africa, I think.
I don't know. What's funny about the penguins is that they actually went back to Antarctica and they looked at it and saw that it was like
Well,
a
this
barren,
sucks.
Yeah, it's a barren wasteland, and they went back on the ship and went back.
But isn't that such an interesting thing that like they finally got to where they wanted to go and they found out it's a hellhole and they wanted to go back to the zoo?
Yeah.
It's pretty nuts.
Oh my God, Mike.
Christ, no.
When in doubt, pinky on that.
Big facts.
So I mean, wouldn't you technically be liberating yourself by just going out into the woods and just forsaking everything? Isn't that technically liberating for you?
For a while, but I can't live there because this is not my natural habitat. I'll die eventually. There's no food for me.
Yeah.
I don't have any weapons. Like, what would I eat?
That sounds like
Our appendixes aren't what they used to be, so you can't just eat any random berry or nut you find on the ground.
berry.
Oh, that too.
That is. But well, I guess you can't. Like it's a very tricky thing. Like, how do you become truly self-reliant? At this point, the government completely frowns upon it. Like, so the idea of self-reliance because it wants to extract as much capital out of you as possible.
Dude, I'm getting such chest pains from this freaking matcha. Is that normal?
Mike is dying. It was nice doing the show.
Yeah, word. I'll be back in
Never.
clock out for the last time. We don't get paid though, so we don't clock in anyway.
Mike, I got another question for you.
What?
What is the true price of freedom? For example,
Freedom ain't free.
hold on, shut up. Don't recite
The tree of liberty's got to be bathed in the
What?
blood.
Stop. Cut his mic.
Done.
Good.
In the blood.
Stop. America's imperial. Let me give you an example of what the price of freedom could be. So America's imperialist endeavors had taken it across the world for over 200 years, right? Its involvement in the toppling of the democratically elected Chilean Marxist Salvador Guillermo Allende Gossens led the way to the reign of Pinochet, one of the
Oh boy. There goes our one S word.
what? His name is Pinochet.
Peter Schmidt.
Peter Peter
Hi,
Griffin.
Lois.
Hi Lois, what am I doing in Chile? Pinochet.
There ain't no chili here at all.
one of the worst dictators of the 20th century.
It's Shet.
Carter Peterson.
I said Pinochet.
Shet.
Shit.
Peter shit?
There go our three S words, I guess. Mike, does freedom have a price? Why would the founders sanctify this kind of action? Do you know why we toppled Guillermo? I mean, I don't know. You might actually. Why do you think we toppled him?
I don't know.
He was Marxist.
Okay.
In favor of this. Well, he was in favor of Marxist ideologies like socialism or Marxist ideologies. So the CIA went into Chile and sided with the rebels, and they ousted him.
Well, freedom does have a price. Because if you could have too much freedom. We spoke about this 2 episodes ago. You can indeed have too much freedom. And you need to have discipline along with your freedom, or else your freedom could kill you. Like my option to drink friggin' matcha is now absolutely tearing me apart.
Well, Mike, I guess the argument I'm having is that is it really that clear cut, or are our freedoms basically solely reliant on the oppression of other peoples?
That made it so much worse. Ow.
Mike's being oppressed by green tea, I guess. Mike, I know an episode of this podcast.
Who made the green tea?
Tea?
Green tea? The Chinese people didn't. Chinese?
Yeah, I guess.
Oh.
Are you
Well,
gonna sue the Chinese government?
yes.
Mike versus China.
China. Oh boy. Make my Alibaba stock go back up, por favor.
Shennong, Emperor of China and supposed inventor of Chinese medicine, discovered tea.
Alright, well, I'll show him a thing or two.
There's a record for that? Jesus,
2737 BC.
Jesus Christ, the
Wow,
Chinese
really?
keep records of everything. That's crazy.
Dude, they don't keep records on him as much as they keep records on Chris Chan. He's the most well-documented person on Earth.
He's not Chinese.
All doesn't matter.
I was talking about the Chinese.
No, I'm just saying he's like the most well-documented person on Earth. That's because people dug through his trash when his house burned down to find records. Horrible.
Jesus.
We should get Chris Chan on the show. That'd be awesome. Yeah, we're gonna do it.
I one day asked Mike, what kind of guest do you want? He's like, Christian. Jesus,
I
how
don't know. Christine Weston Chandler.
Please, no.
Christian, Weird Al, or Yes?
All three.
Mike, what's the price of freedom? Are we literally just sitting on the bones and...
The price of freedom is freedom in and of itself because of, as I just said, you could have too much freedom and like you have to keep track of your freedom. It's an opportunity cost. Nothing on earth is free. Freedom itself is an opportunity cost. The fact that you even have freedom is costly.
Yeah, I guess it is. I guess that's a good point.
Yeah,
Do you understand why I bring up like the CIA's involvement in toppling Guillermo? Or Salvador? Yeah, whatever. Like it's important because I mean, would you agree that they should have done that?
They're kind of meddling in other people's affairs, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, aren't we the bad guys? I guess in that case. It's pretty nuts. I mean,
Maybe it's maybe it's to prevent for like a new Hitler coming out, but like
I mean, Pinochet, it was arguably a lot like. I'm just gonna ignore you guys. It was arguably a lot like Hitler. He killed he basically like massacred like I believe 30,000 people. He was a very horrible person.
was
Very foul.
I wish I wrote the rest of his name. Because he had a big name, but I decided to pick the one name. I guess I mispronounced it in a funny way. Whatever. Tales from the Bottom of the Ocean, everybody, where we just do nothing but.
Augusto.
Huh?
Augusto Pinochet.
Pinochet. Pinochet.
Oh my god, please. I
Anyway.
want this episode to end so bad.
Why?
Because I'm having a freaking episode right now. Within an episode.
Jesus Christ. But you're right, yeah.
I gotta do some push-ups or something.
I mean, we don't have a lot of time left, so I'm just going to go straight to the quotes, even though there is a really good question. A couple of questions after this. What do you want to do, Mike? You want to go to quotes, or you want me to ask another question?
Or Mike's Mysteries.
Or Mike's Mysteries. You don't have Mike's Mysteries, do you?
I was gonna talk about going off when we were talking about in California. There's a there really is a place. I forgot the name of the town, but it actually doesn't have a single law.
Yeah, no, I've read
That place is also a hellhole because people could just take your house. Like you basically have to be nice. If you're not nice, your whole life will be ruined, or you'll die. Good Mike's Mysteries.
Yeah. Hooray. Alright. So,
I could talk about SCP-3008, but that's not a mystery.
it's not a mystery. That's the most popular one. You're just tearing a cup on air.
Please not.
In the
mystery.
mic.
I agree with that.
Dude, it's ASMR.
No, it's not. Stop.
Shh.
I saw this ASMR of someone eating glue, by the way. But, no, it's not. She was hot, but she was eating glue. Mike, stop.
Yeah, when
Come
I
on.
eat glue, I'm the R word.
Stop. Come on.
That reminds me of something.
Oh, my God. It reminds me of
It
something.
reminds me of Joey World's Tour ASMR video where he's eating like Popeyes really close to the mic and like whispering.
And then your girlfriend got mad at you for playing it and then almost freaking broke your freaking television.
Yeah, it was gross. It was disgusting. I won't lie. It was a disgusting thing to see and hear. We should get Joey on the show.
So you can eat the prompt.
Horrible. You're very mean-spirited.
All right, we're running out of time. We're just freaking dicking around, so.
What is wrong with you?
What?
You can't say that on the air.
That's not an offensive word. It's a noun.
Oh, yeah, I remember when Trump said that like Hillary got like said that word in response to a political thing, and he said like it's a very common word in politics. And it's like, no, it's not.
The D word, I guess. Jesus Christ.
I need some mints.
Mike's just dying, I guess. Right before our very eyes.
Knock on wood. I don't want to die.
Here's a quote by Thomas Jefferson, Mike. Alright, so we're just gonna do the quotes instead.
Oh, now my tummy hurts.
Oh wait, hold on. No, actually, let me do this one by Benjamin Franklin. The doorstep to the temple of wisdom is knowledge of our own ignorance.
What?
The doorstep to the temple of wisdom is knowledge of our own ignorance.
Oh yeah, because that means if you know you're dumb, you're gonna want to be learned.
What does that have to do with being a tyrant? Actually, hold on. Let me tell you a little something about Mesopotamia. The Mesopotamian king, or no, that's not. There's no king of Mesopotamia, but one of the Sumerian kings, I think one of their customs, right, was to stand before the walls of the city where they would be berated by the priesthood, and asked, "What do you think you could have been doing to become a better sort of ruler?"
Okay.
So it takes you have to humble yourself before.
It's basically a roast meat Instagram post.
You have to humble yourself before reason and divinity itself, so you can understand how much of a better person you can be, right? Like you have to ask. Yeah, it's the whole thing behind confession and repenting of one's sins, isn't it?
I've been to confession before. It's fun.
What did you confess?
Oh, the last time I confessed was freshman year of high school. I said I was looking at porn. Because I couldn't think of anything else. He's like, well, you have to understand that he basically said that, like, viewing women as objects was wrong. And he told me to say 3 Hail Marys.
Well, I was expecting something a lot worse, honestly. Not from your confession, but what his response would be.
Oh, it's like, whatever.
You're an idiot.
No, I'm like, oh, what? He basically was kind of giving me like a whatever answer. It's like, oh, who cares? This isn't something bad.
Out of curiosity, what was it that you were looking at?
I have another confession. I was really loud on a podcast with tearing up a cup, and
Oh my God, we're going down.